All right, it looks like it's about time to get started. Hi, I'm Olivia. I'm a library assistant here at the library. I work with the archives and with the digital media lab as part of my job. And today we're going to be talking about streaming options, which have kind of ballooned into a really big thing the last couple of years. I still remember when they were not very much at all. To kick us off today, we are going to start with covering some keywords that you'll need to know for the rest of this presentation. There is some specialized language that I use when I talk about streaming services, and I want to make sure we're all on the same page going forward. So the first keyword is the word streaming, which means watching pre-recorded TV shows and pre-recorded movies through your internet or Wi-Fi. And I'm explaining this because it's different than watching live TV, which is another type of service that we will be covering today. And that means watching TV shows or events as they appear live on TV stations, just like with cable. These will also generally have the option to record. So some streaming services, you can only stream. And on some services, you can also watch what we would consider a live TV option. And I will differentiate between those two when we talk about them later on. If you're ever confused about which it is, let me know and I will clarify for you as well. All right, the next round of keywords that we're going to cover are screens, bundle, and supported device. So when I talk about screens, what I'm talking about is the number of people who are able to use the same streaming service at once on different devices. So if I say Netflix gives you 2 screens, that means that you could watch Netflix on your TV on that account, and someone else in your family could watch Netflix on an iPhone on that account at the same time. But if someone else trying to join and you only had 2 screens, that wouldn't work because you can only watch it on 2 devices at the same time at once. Different streaming services will have different amounts of screens that you can use, and I've included that information in the stuff that I sent you. So bundle. A bundle would be several streaming services sold together, generally at a lower price than purchasing all of them separately. It's very reminiscent of buying cable packages, where you get a bunch of different cable channels at once for a lower price than buying all of them separately. And then supported device is any phone, tablet, computer, TV, or smart device that will work with a particular streaming service. Most of the major streaming services will work with pretty much any type of device you have, but it's always better to double check that your device is going to be supported before you purchase it, because sometimes if you have a smaller brand name smart TV, they might not be compatible. Do we have any questions about the keywords before we move on? All right, then I'm going to move on to our major streaming services. So the first major streaming service that we're going to talk about today is going to be Apple TV. And these are in alphabetical order. They are not in any order of preference, just so that you're aware. The next slide on the presentation that I've sent you guys will have all of the supported devices for Apple TV. You can peruse those on your own time. We're going to move directly on to the pros and cons of Apple TV. So Apple TV is going to be one of the smaller streaming services in terms of the amount of content on the platform. However, it is also one of the cheapest streaming services. Majority of the content on the Apple TV platform is going to be original content. A lot of the stuff that is not Apple original and is branded content is going to be in the kids section. They have a fair amount of like Sesame Street and other type of kids content. The cost of this streaming service is really small. Like I said, it's $4.99 a month, which is going to be a good deal if you already have Apple products like an Apple TV, a MacBook, or an iPhone. If you don't have Apple products, you can use Apple TV, but there are a couple extra steps to log in and download it. So I would really only recommend getting Apple TV if you have Apple products at home already. All right. Our next streaming service is going to be Disney Plus. So Disney Plus as a streaming service is a little bit less varied than some of the other options that we're going to cover today. They are more movie heavy, less TV heavy, although they do have some TV show. They are the most kid-friendly streaming service that we will cover today, in my opinion. There are some TV shows and movies on Disney Plus that I would consider not kid-friendly, but a majority of them would be Disney shows that are kid-friendly. So Disney Plus has Disney, Marvel, National Geographic content. Anything that is owned by the Disney brand is going to be on the Disney Plus show. Also, in 2020 and continuing on into 2021 and 2022, they have been offering early access to the new Disney movies on Disney Plus. So they've been coming out in theaters. When they release in theaters, you can choose to pay an extra fee to watch the new movies at home, or you can wait and get access to them before they're released on DVDs for the regular price. The price for Disney Plus is on the lower end. The plans start at $7.99, and none of the Disney Plus plans have ads. So in my opinion, that's a pretty good deal. But you can bundle Disney Plus with other services for as low as $13.99. So if you have people in your family who really enjoy Marvel or Disney, I think this is a really good buy. All right. So the next one we're going to talk about is HBO Max. This is another newer streaming service. HBO Max has a good mix of content in terms of movie versus TV shows versus documentaries. I will say that their content tends to skew towards fiction and away from like nonfiction documentaries. They have HBO shows, Warner Brothers, Ghibli, Cartoon Network, Looney Tunes, and more in terms of different brands that they own. A majority of their content has been released in the last 10 years, so they have a lot of blockbusters, a lot of new and recognizable content. The stuff that hasn't been released in the last 10 years is generally older, kind of like the Warner Brothers classics. They do have kid-friendly brands, which I feel like they don't necessarily have a reputation for being kid-friendly, but I was really surprised by the amount of kid-friendly brands they have on there. They also have all of the HBO original content. So if you are a fan of Game of Thrones, The Alienist, any of those big blockbuster shows that they've released, this is where you're going to want to go. Their plans start at $9.99. You can bundle HBO Max with Hulu, but you don't really get a discount, so I would recommend purchasing it separately. And our next one is going to be Hulu. Hulu is probably the most complicated streaming service that we're going to talk about today. Just in the amount of plans and content that they offer. So Hulu definitely has a very wide range of TV shows and movies, and they partner with a bunch of different TV channels and brands to create extra content for an extra price. Generally, I recommend that if you really like reality TV shows, Hulu is going to be really great for you. They have a lot of reality TV, HGTV, etc. Although they do also create their own original content. They have the widest range of plans, the lowest end being $6.99, the highest end being $75.99 a month, which is very expensive, but the more expensive plans are what we consider live TV, where you can watch things live like a cable channel. And it's more of a direct cable replacement in that you get a lot of different TV channels to watch. All right, on to the classic, Netflix. Netflix offers a pretty wide range of movies, TV shows, and documentaries. In my personal opinion, it is one of the more well-rounded streaming services in terms of offering movies and TV shows that cater to different genres. They also have a lot of great documentaries. If you are someone who likes nonfiction and documentaries, in my opinion, Netflix has the best documentary selection. They used to have more blockbusters on the streaming service, but as other streaming services like HBO Max have popped up, a lot of the Marvel movies and blockbusters are leaving this platform and going to other ones. That being said, Netflix still has a lot of popular content, and they make really popular original content as well. So like Stranger Things and The Witcher are going to be original content that will be on Netflix. Netflix's plans are a little bit more expensive than some of the other ones. They range from $9.99 to $19.99, but none of the Netflix plans have ads, which is really a bonus in my opinion. All right. Prime Video. This one is another one that's a little bit tricky. So Prime Video is one of the features that you get when you sign up for Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime is something that you sign up for with Amazon, where you get free 2-day shipping on all of your Amazon orders and several other features, including Prime Video. Prime Video has movies, TV shows, documentaries, kids shows, everything that another streaming service would have. But a lot of their content is going to be older movies and TV shows, and then a smaller selection of rotating blockbusters. They do have some original content, and they have made a couple really well-known original pieces. For example, they just released a big Cinderella movie with Camila Cabello, which would be popular with kids. They do have a really robust kids section on Amazon Prime, especially some of the slightly older shows like Clifford the Big Red Dog. You do get ads on Amazon Prime, but the ad placement is not as obnoxious as some other platforms. If you already have Amazon Prime, or you feel like you would use Amazon Prime to order other things from Amazon, I feel like this is a really good deal. If you're not interested in using the other Amazon Prime benefits, this is probably one that you could skip. The monthly fee is $14.99. All right. Do we have any questions on the major streaming services before we move on to the new streaming services?
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I don't know much of anything about this. When you say that we can like take Hulu and we pay a certain amount a month, does that mean that is that an amount that we pay over and above like Mediacom or whatever we might have? Or is it instead of?
Yes, so if you have cable or internet, the streaming service cost would be an extra cost. So at the end, we'll talk about bundles, which is a bunch of streaming services together. But for let's say that I have Netflix, I would pay my Mediacom bill for my internet, and I would pay my Netflix bill, and they would be two separate bills. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, each one you buy would be its own separate bill that would be on top of your internet bill.
So am I right, though, that you could probably reduce your Mediacom bill because you would say, maybe I just want internet, I don't need TV, and then you would use one of these for TV. Do you know about how much that reduces Mediacom then if you want just the internet?
You know, I'm not entirely sure how much getting rid of cable will reduce your Mediacom bill, but I can look into that and see if I can get some approximate figures to send out in the follow-up email.
Great.
But yes, if you are getting rid of your cable to replace with the streaming services, that will lower your Mediacom bill.
Could you repeat that? If you what?
So if you are looking to replace your cable with a streaming service, your Mediacom bill would reduce and you would get the extra bill for the streaming service.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've looked at my Mediacom bill, and if I only had just my internet, which is 100 gig of the fast internet, it would be $70 a month.
Nice.
Thank you.
I was going to say, if you look at your Mediacom bill, it does break it down between internet and cable and so on. individually. So you can see which packages you have and what you can eliminate, what you want to keep.
And
I guess-
I'm looking at the MediaCom website. If someone was just joining MediaCom, it looks like there's a $30 difference between the local TV and then the bigger cable TV package.
Oh, so that's the question I was going to ask, like the ones that you just went through so far, do they include local news channels or not?
Oh,
The
they
ones that
don't.
we have been through so far do not include local news channels, but some of the ones we will talk about later will include national news channels like NBC and CBS.
Also, when you're looking at that MediaCom bill where it divides up, that probably is a bundled price. So it may be higher if you just have the one.
True.
I'm seeing a question in the chat about where Roku fits into this topic. Roku is a device that makes your TV smart. So if you have a not smart TV, you plug it in and then you can watch streaming services through the Roku device, just like a Fire Stick or an Apple TV. I do believe that Roku might do some of their original shows, but on a Roku, you would be able to download any of these streaming services, and then you would pay the price through the streaming service rather than through Roku. And on the presentation, on the copy that I sent you, there will be a slide that tells you whether or not Roku is a supported device for each of these streaming services. Does that make sense?
I'm not sure. What? Roku allows your TV to be smart, meaning that you can, what?
Yeah, so some TVs, when you purchase them, they don't connect to the internet, and some newer TVs automatically have a feature that allows them to connect to the internet. If you have a TV that doesn't connect to the internet, you can buy a device like a Roku, an Amazon Fire Stick, an Apple TV, a Chrome stick, and those devices allow your TV to connect to the internet and use streaming services.
We have a smart TV, just bought it actually, and there was a big advantage to getting Roku on top of that. So even if you have a smart TV, you may want to get Roku. For example, you can't get public TV, PBS documentaries or any PBS through Netflix or Amazon Prime, but you can get it through Roku. So the other thing about MediaCom is we just switched from MediaCom cable plus internet to internet only. And they took away our cable box, and we lost some stations that I didn't care about anyway. And they did suggest that we increase our speed from, I think it was 50 gig to 100. And because they said streaming, and you get more data with that. So you not only get speed, but you have to get data. And the reason they said that is because streaming takes a lot of data. And they said if I kept the 50, I would only have about a half an hour's worth of TV per day worth of data. They may have been pulling my leg, I don't know. But anyway, I did go up to 100, and now I have like 2 or 3 hours worth. They don't give it to you in hours, they give it to you in data, gigs of data. But anyway, it's definitely possible to get rid of your cable, stick with MediaCom for internet, but get rid of whatever extra cable channels you have.
Yes, streaming definitely does take more data than things like browsing the internet. I have never reached my data cap with MediaCom. We have the 100 gig speed, and I think we might have the 1,000 gigabytes of data per month. We signed on when there was a promotion running. And we will leave the TV on sometimes for 5 or 6 hours a day if we're doing other things. We've never come close to hitting our data cap with streaming, so I wouldn't be too concerned, but that is definitely something to consider when you're talking about streaming, is that it does take more data than browsing the internet.
Back to something else John brought up, I want to check with all of these. We would lose if we have a smart TV and we go with these streaming options, we would lose PBS.
So PBS is something that John had through his cable. PBS is not necessarily guaranteed to be on any of these. They might pick up specific shows from PBS. I know that Amazon had some of the kids shows that were on PBS, but you wouldn't be getting like the PBS channel.
I
A
can
Roku stick costs $30, and then you've got all of PBS.
$30 a month, or
$30 one time in your life.
is that more complicated for those of us that aren't great at technology?
I'm a total technophobe, and it was not too hard. I wouldn't say it's the easiest thing in the world, but they have good support, unlike everything else, it seems. Yeah, so I think I had one question for support. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward.
Can I add another option for PBS? If your TV has rabbit ears, or if you purchase rabbit ears, you can pick up the PBS channels without having to pay anything.
That means using the good old-fashioned television antennas that many of us grew up with.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Standing at the window, getting the right reception and those kinds of things. But
yeah, so you could attach that to your smart TV or whatever TV you're using for streaming and have both of those options.
However, that's the only local station you'll get, other than one I never heard of. You do not get KCRG. A TV antenna, I made the mistake of getting an $80 TV antenna that they said would reach 60 miles. You don't need 60 miles to get PBS. So I would get it like a $30 TV antenna if you're going to get one, but actually a Roku stick costs $30, and then you don't have to screw around with an antenna.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're only getting it for PBS, get a Roku stick.
Get a Roku stick. You can also buy a streaming service from PBS called Passport for $60 a year.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's move on to some of the new streaming services. So one of the newer ones, and I call these new streaming services because most of these have popped up within the last year or so, and they don't have as big of a following. So their prices are reduced, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they offer less content than the others or worse content than the others. They're just a little bit newer on the scene. So the first newer one is Discovery Plus. I actually tried Discovery Plus recently, and I really, really like it. I will say the service is mainly TV shows. They have things from the Discovery Channel, HGTV, TLC, A&E, Food Network, most of the major kind of cable channels. So if you like TV shows, and especially if you like TV shows from like 20 or so years ago, this is a perfect option for you. They have all 21 seasons of Mythbusters, which I have personally been very much enjoying. They have a good mix of fiction, reality TV, and also nonfiction TV, mainly from the Discovery Channel. But the plans are $4.99 a month to $6.99 a month, so not very expensive. The cheaper plan does have ads. The $6.99 plan does not have ads, if that is a deal breaker for you. Anything else? And They have a promotion right now. If you are a college student, you can get it for $2.99 a month. So if any of you have an email address that is affiliated with the University of Iowa, you might be able to get it for $2.99 a month. All right, next up, Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus offers TV shows, movies, documentary, news, and a lot more. This is the streaming service that will get you access to the CBS News. They also offer access to Comedy Central, Nickelodeon, MTV, the Smithsonian Channel, and Paramount movies. So if you like CBS News or you like Paramount movies, this is going to be the one to go for. It has a lot of options for children, and it also has a lot of documentaries. So the cheaper plan, the $4.99 plan, does not include access to the CBS Live News, but you do get live NFL access on the cheaper plan if that's a deal breaker for you. The $9.99 Paramount Plus plan is what is going to get you access to the CBS News. And then we've got Peacock TV. Peacock TV offers movies, live TV shows, and also they offer live sports and live news on their more expensive plans. They have a lot of classic 2000s content. Most of what they offer is pretty family friendly, but they really have a wide mix of things. The special thing about Peacock TV is that they have a free plan that is free forever. You sign up with your email, you get free access to their basic content. So if you are looking to just very carefully dip your toes into the water of streaming, you can always start with their free plan. You don't have to give them a credit card number. It's just your email and a password. The $9.99 a month platform is what's going to get you the live news and the live sports on this one. And this, I believe, is the NBC platform. All right, and then kind of bundled in with the new ones, this is ESPN Plus, which offers sports events on live TV and select archived games and like documentaries. This service, just like the CBS News and the NBC Sports, streams live, so you have to follow the live schedule, although there are some options for recording. This is the option for people who like sports. Although if you are into only a very specific sport, I would always double check before purchasing, because while ESPN Plus offers a lot of sports, it does not offer every sport online that ESPN channels offer. So ESPN Plus streams college sports, NHL, NBL, soccer, fights, wrestling, and more. They do not have the NFL on ESPN Plus. ESPN Plus costs $6.99 a month. Some of the programming will have ads just because it is live TV, but the majority of their content does not have ads. If you are interested in ESPN Plus, it will be in a bundle deal later, which will be a much better price for it. All right. So those are the newer ones that are going to have access to some of the news channels. Do we have any questions about those before we move on?
Does the one that covers the NBC bundle include MSNBC?
I don't believe so. I believe it is just NBC, but I can double check and I will send that out in the follow-up email.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Is there one that you're aware of that covers MSNBC?
Not that I have come across yet, but I will continue to double check. And if I find one, I will send it out as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I got lost just for a minute between Peacock and ESPN. Does Peacock have quite a bit of live sports?
Peacock specifically is offering mostly the NFL live. They were doing some big promotions of that for the Super Bowl, but they are not as big into the live sports as ESPN. So if you are interested in more than just football, I would say probably go with ESPN.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then I got a question that says, how do you know if your TV is smart? If you can access the internet on your TV, it would be considered a smart TV. So most smart TVs will have a button on the remote that will allow you to access the internet. So we'll say like smart TV or a specific app. I can look up some pictures of those and send them out. You can also, if you Google the brand of your TV and then smart ? You should be able to find a support site that will tell you if you can access the internet or not. Most TVs within the last 5 or so years are smart TVs. It's getting harder and harder to buy dumb TVs. So if it's a fairly recent purchase, it should be, but the basic answer is if you can access the internet on your TV, then it's considered a smart TV.
But there is, I would say, there's also the obstacle of if you're a smart person or a dumb person. So you may have a smart TV, but not able to access and use it. I've found.
Yes, and I feel like I'm generally a pretty smart person, and I still have troubles sometimes. So sometimes the world is just going against you. Yes, some news channels will offer news segments on their website that you can watch on your computer for free. A lot of TV channels will offer free episodes that you can watch on your computer. I know that like A&E will offer free episodes on your computer. The difference is it's really hard to get that kind of thing on your TV. So what you're paying for with these is the ability to watch it on the big screen.
We watched the Ukraine news yesterday live on, I believe it was ABC News, through the Roku stick, and that was free.
All right, so this is going to be the last little section before we move on. And this is the popular bundles section. So a bundle is a bunch of different streaming services that you purchase at once for a lower price. And the big bundle that is offered right now is going to be Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus. And this bundle comes in several different formats. The cheapest version is $13.99 a month, which gets you access to everything on Disney Plus, everything on ESPN Plus, and the basic Hulu with ads plan. And then the $19.99 a month version gets you everything from Disney Plus, everything from ESPN Plus, and the basic Hulu without ads. They're very similar. The only difference between these two is that the more expensive one gets you Hulu with no ads. And then the next section is similar, but this bundle is through Hulu, and it includes Hulu Live TV, which, like we said, is a more direct cable replacement that allows you to watch TV channels live and to record live shows. And this is way more expensive. It's $69.99 a month for the basic one, which gets you everything on Disney Plus, everything on ESPN Plus, and Hulu Live TV with ads. And then $75.99 a month will get you everything on Disney Plus, everything on ESPN Plus, and Hulu Live TV without ads. Although because some of this stuff is live, some of it will still have ads. If you are looking to get rid of your cable completely, this is probably the closest cable replacement that you'll get. And it is priced like it is a cable replacement. If you are just kind of looking to dip your toes into the water, I would stay away from this until you're more experienced, just because it is very expensive.
So
Yeah.
is
Go
this,
ahead.
excuse me, I'm sorry. Is this limited to one TV in the home? You mentioned before that there are some services that have like Netflix
Yeah.
only has two, so.
Give me just a second. That'll be the next thing that I will share with you guys.
Okay, sorry.
You are A-okay. That is leading directly into where I wanted to go. You read my mind. Let's see. So if we can open that. There we go. All right. All right, so I also sent this all to you in your email along with the PowerPoint. This is a kind of little spreadsheet that I made to compare them. So what you were talking about with only one person watching is what we call screens. So the amount of people who can watch it at one time. And this comparison chart has the amount of screens for each plan listed out. So if you got the basic Netflix plan, only one person could watch at a time. So if you had it going on your TV, that would be the only device that could watch it. If you bought the more expensive Netflix plan, you could have 2 or 4 devices watching at once. But this has all of the screens listed for all of the services that we talked about today. Was there one in particular that you were interested in? All right. Well, this is going to be a really good guide if you are looking to compare cost, screens, ads, and the availability of a free trial. The PowerPoint is going to be helpful for finding your supported devices and the type of content on the platform. But that is.
Could I ask a question? I tried to print that chart and I had trouble printing it just because it would have been easier to look at and consider. Is there, I don't know, it just came off as a, like, maybe it's me. I had trouble printing it. Is that a printer friendly version?
It should be. It is just a plain PDF. I can certainly try printing it here and see if I have issues to troubleshoot.
It came off,
but otherwise,
it came out really big, like it would have taken 20 pages to almost like a poster.
Interesting. Yeah, I can certainly find a compressed version and send that out again. Sorry about that issue. Yeah.
Well, it may well have been me, but I just thought I'd check because I would love to print a copy to study.
Check to see the size.
Mm-hmm.
See the little glass has plus or minus. Just make it smaller, make it 100% instead of, sometimes they'll come up like 200%.
Okay.
Magnified.
Probably my issue. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. No problem.
I had that problem.
I'm not finding this in my email. What email address would you have sent it from?
Yeah, so when you all registered for the event, there was a box for your phone number and a box for your email. If you put your email in there, we went ahead and sent it to that email. If you forgot to put an email or didn't get it on, you can just go ahead and direct message me your email and I can send it out after the program.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
I have a question about that best bundled service.
Yeah.
That talked about the Hulu Live TV, no ads, Disney, ESPN. Does it include PBS and local news?
So it will include some news channels with Hulu. I can go through and specifically check which ones. I'm not sure about it including PBS though. But I do not know that off the top of my head. I can find that out for you though.
Olivia, does any of these channels, like Hulu, whatever, cover BTN or FSN one for Hawkeye Sports?
That is a great question. I suspect probably not, but I can check and see if there are any other smaller streaming services that might cover Hawkeye Sports.
The other thing is on ESPN Plus. There is an ESPN Plus, but there's also 2 other ESPN channels.
Yes.
And I was wondering if they were included with that plus or not.
Yeah, so ESPN Plus does not include the regular ESPN TV channels. It's just a specific selection of live sports and like sports documentaries.
Right.
They do a really good job of listing out which sports you will get on the ESPN Plus website. You just have to make sure that you go to the website for the streaming service and not the website for one of their channels. Yeah, it can be a little bit tricky with the ESPN one.
I was a little disappointed with Prime Video. I have Prime Video, but what I find is there's a lot of channels they have available, but they charge you for them. There are a few that they have done themselves, but there are a lot of them that they have a charge for streaming it.
Yeah, Amazon Prime is different from all of the other streaming services because it's part of Amazon. So when you buy Amazon Prime, you get free access to some of the videos that they have on Amazon, and some of the streaming videos on Amazon aren't considered part of Prime, and you still have to rent or buy them. So if you are confused by that, that might not be the one to go for you. I know sometimes I've been looking for things on Amazon Prime that I thought I could get, and it turned out that I had to rent them or buy them, which is kind of disappointing. I agree.
I saw on NBC a number of times that they also stream on Hulu.
Probably, yep, that would be the Hulu Live TV version.
I went to check about printing that chart, and it is oversized. So when you go to actually print it, in your printing instructions, there's a place where you can click that you want it to shrink to the size of your paper.
Yeah, I will try to find a smaller version of that chart to print out for you guys so that you can print it without any problems. That's on me.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think it's true with both, all of everything you sent out.
Yeah, the PowerPoint should be a regular PowerPoint size. If you're wanting to print that, it'll just be the same as printing any other PowerPoint. But I know that I can make a smaller version of the PDF for you.
Okay, great.
I haven't sent out the PowerPoint yet, though, right?
I have sent out the PowerPoint. If you didn't get it, you can direct message me your email and I will make sure to send it out to you as well.
Okay.
Any other questions? Or
I do
thoughts?
have a comment. I guess I do have a smart TV. When I got my iPhone, they gave me a free couple months of Apple TV, but I was not able to watch it on my TV. I had to watch it on my computer. So not everything is compatible apparently with the TV, even though it is a smart TV.
Yes, that is very true. Let me really quick share my screen again. Because especially with Apple TV, because Apple is pretty proprietary about their products, they don't like to share. That's why I recommended only getting Apple TV if you have Apple devices. You can use it on non-Apple TV TVs. It's just kind of hard to do it.
Yeah, they said I couldn't.
Yeah. So on the version of the PowerPoint that I shared with you all, there will be an extra slide after each streaming service, and that slide will have the supported device information in a big, easy to read font. So if you go through that, it will tell you which specific types of smart TVs each streaming service is supported on.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I said, I highly recommend you look through that before you decide to purchase any of these. I didn't want to read out a list of 50 things for every streaming service. Right. Because especially the ones like Netflix, they work on pretty much anything. So it would be a lot of names, but Apple TV is kind of hard to get on non-Apple devices. Yes, thank you, Lisa. Any other questions or thoughts?
I have a question about Roku. Is this the right time for that, or
Yeah,
are you,
for
do you have
sure.
more to present?
Nope, I'm all done presenting. I am open for questions.
Okay. We have a Roku stick that we have used pretty successfully most of the time, but we've had issues with two types of issues. One is that sometimes while we're watching along, it will just turn off. And the other issue is, and then you have to stop and start over, reboot it. The other issue is we've had intermittent trouble with it activating, with it working. And we have tried changing the batteries and all of that. And sometimes it's just very stubborn to get it started. You have to try 6 or 8 times to get it to turn on. Does anybody have a similar issue with Roku, or are we doing something wrong?
Sometimes devices like the Roku stick, the Amazon Fire Stick, or the Chrome stick are just a little bit finicky. We've had some similar issues with our Amazon Fire Stick. There was like a couple months where it just wouldn't play sound for some reason. So we used
Right,
smart
exactly.
TV issues, and so we figured that out. When it's turning off while you're watching something, I would suspect that it's quote unquote crashing, like when a computer gets too much going on and it just shuts down. The unfortunate truth about things like Roku, Amazon Fire, and Google Chrome sticks is that they probably should be replaced every couple years.
Yeah, this is a new one
Brand
that
new.
we got at Christmas
Have you tried
time.
contacting Roku support?
Yeah, no.
No, I would probably ask them, or maybe try replacing it for another one. It might be a defective model.
Okay,
Yeah, sorry about that, Kathy.
that's all right. Thanks.
It just got a Roku stick and it has no battery. It plugs into the wall. So I wonder if there's different models of Roku sticks.
I guess I was referring to the remote. That's where we change the batteries. Our Roku stick is plugged in, as yours is.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, well, if you want to stick around and continue to ask questions, you're welcome to do that. If you are ready to head out, feel free to head out. I will be here until 11:30, but I'm done presenting, so you all are free to do as you wish.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That was very